YouTube has decided to not share my videos with everyone who subscribes. Please follow me on social media to stay up to date. Gotham Season 5 will be the series' last. Now, when Gotham was first announced, I was very surprised that it was going to be picked up at all. Kind of a dark, brooding take, well, similar take to Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight series, but with more of a flair for the villains. The Bruno, I forget the name of the guy who runs it, but he did, I want to say Bruno Heller, but he's the guy behind Rome, right? The first 2 seasons of Rome, which were just excellent television on HBO, that HBO kind of sold short, according to some of the actors, in order to make way for Game of Thrones, which ultimately in the long run, I would argue paid off better for HBO anyway. But he's coming in to do this show, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. And the first season of the show right now is the only one that I've seen. And it's good. It's dark. It focuses on like the fun villains and good characters. And so seeing it get a proper finale is going to be very, very, very good for the fans. And not just that, but for people who watch television, because one of the biggest problems of television, as like, you know, when I talked about the Brooklyn Nine-Nine being canceled, a lot of that has to do with people feeling like something they care about, something they love is being torn out of their chest. Their cortisol levels rise, and they trust networks less and less. And they do this because they always have heartbreak and they always have heartache because these stories are never getting their proper conclusion. At least this is getting it. And also it's for another reason as well, but we'll talk about that. Now, Fox did announce today that it's given a green light to Gotham Season 5 and also revealed that the series' last season. The 5th and final season will wrap up its unique story of the great DC Comics villains and vigilantes, which revealed an entirely new chapter that has never been told. And I'm not too sure how I feel about that in terms of like these canonical characters that are kind of getting this whole brand new take done. I always feel like it's a little bit like, okay, you guys are trying a little bit too hard on that one. But at the same time, the show's been able to keep itself going for a few years and keep the aesthetic alive and really introduce a lot of villains. I know season 1 is always a tough one because you're establishing the world. I think season 2 focused more on the villains, and I just need to binge watch it. I might actually start doing that tonight. When I sit down to feed my daughter, you know, pop on the series, start watching it from the beginning to get my DC fill in order to be ready for the final 13 episodes when they come this fall. Now, although the network has not announced how many episodes the 5th will be, it's been updated to 13 at this point. But it would take the show to the 100 episode mark needed for syndication. The final season will focus on Bruce Wayne's transformation into the Caped Crusader. Now, we know that this was about Jim Gordon and that young Bruce Wayne is going to be a part of the show, but ultimately you can see that they've really focused heavily on him, which is good because that actor is really good, and it allows them to kind of tell the stories of, I guess, maybe of how both kind of came to be, and I like that they've done that. I like that they've gone that route and also littered the show with the iconic villains. Especially like the Penguin from first season was great. Fish Mooney, I liked Jada Pinkett Smith in the first season. I've heard some stuff about her coming back. And then, of course, there's a character of Jerome, who was also introduced in the first season, and at this point now is basically the Joker, but in name only, right? He's a Gino, Joker in name only. And the reason why is because of the DCEU. Even though this is Warner Brothers Television, even though this is another Warner Brothers TV show, when the CW's got like 5 of them now, they still don't have it tied into the larger DCEU, which is a mistake in my opinion. And they still don't want to, you know, cross-contaminate the storylines, which I ultimately get. But they also, similar to what happened with Arrow and wanting to introduce a Suicide Squad, they ended up kind of cutting all of that out as a way to lead into the movie. And here they don't want Joker with green hair. They don't want Joker mentioned at all. But Jerome is just a Gino. That's what he is at this point. Now the show season finale is set to air on May 17th, and it is titled A Dark Knight. So clearly they're not even like pulling any punches at this point. There's no tease. They know what they're getting themselves into. And ultimately that's going to work out really well, I think, for the show, to get that wrap up, to take us down the path of the Dark Knight. And if it's done well, I believe it's going to end up, very much, telling the type of long arc story that I believe Bruno Heller was robbed of when trying to tell the story of Rome. So I think this is just me, you know, being a fan and shit. This is basically me saying, like, I believe personally that this is his vindication, so to speak. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with the fifth season, but I think it's going to be pretty damn good nonetheless.